Hello, I'm Luke Morrison. I'm a data science major, and here's the passage I chose. Obviously, we should not discuss Moses' skill, for he was a mere agent, following the instructions given him by God. So he should be admired, not for his own skill, but for that grace that made him worthy to talk with God. So this was really interesting to me because when I first heard of Machiavelli, I learned about him in my history class in high school. And I remember something my teacher said was that he was not very religious, and I remember he said his Machiavelli's friends would make fun of him for not going to church and things like this. So this quote just really seemed out of place and strange to me to use such a religious example in his context. And I think what Machiavelli is doing here, after I've taken this class and tried to understand more what style of writing he was using, is he's using, I think this is the strongest case of exempla he uses in the print for a couple of reasons. One, the obvious, is that it follows the structure of exempla very, very well. Using Moses as one of your examples in that time would have been seen as such an ironclad example that you really can't dispute it. So what I think he does so brilliantly in this passage is he kind of uses Moses as a shield. You can't attack Moses in this time as an exempla. So it gives his argument so much credibility that it makes it rhetorically very strong. And his argument in the first part of chapter 6 in particular is the divide between the armed prophet and the unarmed prophet. And in this case, Moses is an armed prophet who is a prophet that, even with the grace of God, still has to have arms, versus the famous unarmed prophet, Savonarola, who is an unarmed prophet and only relies on his charisma and luck with the events in France invasion. And so there's a very clear divide, but it's very strong rhetorically because he's using Moses in this way to emphasize the point that you need to have arms if you want to be a successful state. So I think what Machiavelli was trying to say was that, but he backs this up in his time. He's talking in chapter 6 and 7 about Cesare Borgia, which would have been seen as very scandalous at the time, and so he uses Moses as a kind of shield furthermore for his religious audience that he would have been addressing for this, because Moses, when he brings up Borgia, he's talking about someone who's nepotistic, murderous, scandalous at the time. So he needs to use Moses in a way that builds up his repertoire or like credibility with the religious audience. So I think, to summarize the ideas I've been talking about, he's in chapter 6, he's trying to build this case of how you acquire a kingdom with virtue, and virtue not being just enough. You need to have arms. You need to have the right situation with the people that you're leading into this new state. And it's really hard. And if you're going to have any chance of success, you better damn have arms, because if not, you're going to end up like Savonarola. And he uses Moses in a really brilliant way as a way to appeal to his religious audience, follow the example of exempla, and build a case by linking Moses, who's a religious example, with some Roman examples in a way that links Machiavelli's Roman expertise with Christian doctrine and refutes that Machiavelli is this unserious scholar who says only scandalous things, in a way that makes this passage a lot more easy to understand once you have that background of Machiavelli's humanist education, his his deep knowledge of rhetorical devices of that time, and the context of him knowing that the consequences of writing about Borgia in such a positive way, he needs to find a way to hedge that and appeal and still seem credible to a largely, well, almost certainly 100% ish Christian domain of Florence and broader Italy as well.